Is this a great game or what? With the Hall of Famer Tim Kurkjian, I'm his son Jeff Kurkjian, and we are well underway into the division series. And Dad, you were just in Toronto. You got on a flight. You got there 7 hours early to make sure you didn't miss it. Now you're in New York, and we've got more podcasting for everybody. We found time to do another episode during the playoffs. It's amazing.
Right. Toronto was great, by the way, Jeff. I saw Uncle Craig, which is always an important thing. We have family in Toronto. That ballpark is really cool, Jeff. You know, it opened in 1989. They've refurbished it. It's great. The crowd noise is incredible. Ernie Clement, infielder for the Blue Jays, told me this place has been totally insane for the last month, but really since the middle of July. People here are really catching on to the Blue Jays. It was great. So we had a great time in Toronto. Ravi, Eduardo, and I, tremendous. The only downside, no Diet Mountain Dew in the city of Toronto. I looked everywhere. Now, I can get through this, Jeff. I'm a grown man, but no Diet Mountain Dew in Toronto. Does that surprise you a little bit?
Yeah, we've run into this a couple times, Dad, when we've done trips to different various places growing up. When we would go to a cabin, or we would end up at a beach somewhere, and you'd have to drive 30 minutes to find a Diet Mountain Dew.
I'm not that hooked. I am bad, but I'm not that bad. It's pretty bad, Jeff. But so that's okay. I'm in New York. They have Diet Mountain Dews all over the place. Now, Jeff, I need to bounce something off you, okay?
Yeah,
the other day, some of my basketball friends from the old dog league, which is no longer because we're too old now, they sent out a clip. I'm not even going to be specific about it. They sent out a clip of a baseball player making some very controversial remarks. And I can't even tell you who it is because it would be it's slanderous to do that, okay? So I looked at it and I showed it to Eduardo. I showed him this clip that was passed around from all of our basketball friends, and he looks at me and he goes, Tim, that's AI. Don't ever use that. So they had taken, Jeff, you got to help me here, okay? To me, AI is Allen Iverson, okay? Who, by the way, had the greatest crossover. He has the greatest off-the-dribble move in the history of the NBA. None of that matters at the moment. What matters is I would never use something like that without checking it out, but I was completely fooled by this. This player, words were coming out of his mouth that he did not say, and that's what AI can do. Am I the most naive man in the world?
No, you're not. There are plenty of people, even my age, but your generation would get fooled a little more than mine, but nonetheless, even my age will see an AI photo or an AI video of somebody saying something they didn't say. And listen, Dad, I am the first to criticize you for your age, and you know I love you. But trust me, even I've been duped by some of these AI photos or these AI videos. I think I know the exact one you're talking about. It's an AI video of...
Don't use his name. I'm not kidding. It's not right.
Well,
it's
you're
bad.
not sharing it. We won't use the name, but I know exactly the video because I've seen the same exact video. And yeah, Dad,
right.
it's all fake. It looks real.
Did it fool you at all?
No,
Jeff.
It did not.
Who does AI things like this? What type of person would do something like that?
Dad, well, AI stands for artificial intelligence.
Yes,
so
well aware of that.
It's the computer. So somebody types in, show me Tim Kurkjian saying that he hates his son and this is the last episode of the podcast because he's a nightmare to work with. And they could do a video of you saying those words. It's a very scary time we're in. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole here and be in dark, Dad, but I want you to, as your son... There are people, scary people out there who can like AI other people's voices, you know, and make it sound like it's me calling you. Just make sure it's me calling you. We'll have a secret word, okay? Our secret word is Walter Johnson High School. So if I don't bring up Walter Johnson High School, you know it's not me, okay?
All right, Jeff, this was troublesome, and it was revealing. And as always, Eduardo Perez, the greatest teammate ever, I wasn't going to release any of this, but I did ask him, did you see this? And within 1 second, he recognized this was AI at work.
Yeah, it's a scary time, Dad. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I will say there are good uses of AI, and they kind of have to do a little bit with my update for you, Dad. We are moving. We signed for a house. I haven't
really?
Yeah, actually. I know you were doing a bit, but actually, yeah. We're putting our house in just 15 minutes down the road, not too far from where we live currently. Still in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, same school district, same everything. But yeah, we're moving houses.
Wow. Am I paying for this one also?
No, you're not. You didn't pay for this one. But I will say,
Jeff,
Dad, the point of bringing this up, I know. The point of bringing this up is because I use a thing called ChatGPT, which is an AI service to help me genuinely find out, okay, what's my new monthly payment going to be? Like, how much money should I put down if I want my payment to be at, X amount of dollars a month? So there are really positive uses. And here on the podcast, as a staff of 2, Jeff here,
and
Tim
a staff of
here.
1 who knows what he's doing. Right.
You plan the show. We do the show together. I produce the show. I use small but substantial AI tools at times through this website we call that we use is called Riverside to record when we're virtual. That kind of helped me get through the episode without having to be nitpicky. So it cuts all the cameras for us, an AI tool. So there are good uses of it. But there are scary, not good uses of it, Dad. So there's a lot.
Well,
there's a lot.
After Eduardo saw that, he just looked at me and said, "Poor Pop-Pop."
Poor Pop-Pop.
Even my colleagues call me poor Pop-Pop when I screw up something like this.
Well, we could do a whole episode full of poor Pop-Pops, Dad, because I think we need to catch up on a lot of them because we have not been as good about it. But I have to give a shout out to one of our listeners, okay? Sarah. Sarah sent us a message, and she said her husband introduced her to Is This a Great Game or What, Dad? And I know you saw this one because I saw that you had responded. And she recommended, made a suggestion saying maybe during the off season, we could kind of rewind back and maybe dive deep into, those first-time baseball fans. I'm not talking about, what's a single, right? I think that's a little too basic. But we can go a little more into, what does a southpaw mean? Why is it called that, right? The funny ins and outs of baseball, the warning track. We could do a whole episode, Dad, on the terms of baseball that are a little bit deeper, that if you hear them, you might not know what they mean. Or we could do, a whole episode about perfect games and no hitters, right? Explaining obviously what they are, but then sharing some of your best stories with some of the best perfect games and best no hitter stories. I think this could be a really cool thing to do during the off season, and we gotta thank Sarah for that.
Yeah, I think she called it Baseball 101 or something. In that right? Well, I'm in. I love that people who don't necessarily love or understand baseball are tuning in. That's what we're here for. We're here to help, hopefully, aficionados and first timers. So it's great.
That's what we're here for. All right, Dad. Well, now that we've gotten our AI and house buying updates done, let's go into the takeaways of the playoffs.
All right. Well, I got to start with where I've been. I saw the Blue Jays, Jeff, and I knew they were good. They won 94 games. They're even better than I thought. Number one, they have an elite defensive team. They have a plus defender virtually every position, anytime they throw eight or nine guys out there. They also have scored the 4th most runs in the major leagues, Jeff, and they scored 23 runs in the first 2 games of the LDS against the Yankees. No team has ever scored that many runs in the first 2 games of any playoff series. And included in there was a stretch of 20 unanswered runs. No team has ever done that. And Jeff, this is why we love baseball so much. The guy leading the way, at least at the beginning, was Alejandro Kirk, who is, he's a short, fat little catcher. And yet he's a really, really good baseball player. And he hit 2 homers to end the regular season, a clinch situation. And then he hit 2 homers in his first playoff game. So he's the only player in Major League history to 2 homers in a clincher to end a season and then 2 homers in the first playoff game. No one's ever done that before. And he's got great bat to ball skills, and defensively he's got great hands. I mean, that's all that matters when you watch a player play. It doesn't matter what his body looks like. Can he play the game? Does he have the skills for it? I've told you a million times. One of the beauties of this sport is it's open to all shapes and sizes. And he is an odd shape and a really good player.
Yeah, I was really disappointed, Dad, because Ernie Clement, the aforementioned, he hit a home run in game 2 of the ALDS. And I was kind of in and out. I was watching my daughter McKinley while watching that game. And I ran back to the TV and I thought, a guy hit a home run from the number 9 spot. I got really excited, right? But he only was in the number 9 spot in game 1. I hadn't recognized that he was not. So I got really pumped that I was going to bring something to the table that you obviously would have had. But it was nothing for me. It was nothing.
Right. By the way, Ernie Clement looks a lot like Aaron Boone. We actually had this discussion. I did with Ernie Clement and with Aaron Boone separately. And they both recognize that there's some similarities there. And they both heard from both sides, hey, you look a little bit like each other. And Boone, of course, is, much older. But I found that interesting that the manager and, in this case, the third baseman that helped beat him in game 2, they look a lot alike.
They do. And Dad, while we were watching the Phillies game on Saturday night, my wife leapt into the air. Emily was so excited when there was a sacrifice fly in the game. She immediately said, I'm so fascinated, a sacrifice fly, because that's like the thing she tracks now, because Dad, she knows that you are fascinated by sacrifice flies. And so she has now joined in the fascination.
Well, I'm so glad that Emily is fascinated by anything that I do. So that is great. Now, speaking of the Jays, though, Trey Savage was just unbelievable, Jeff. He had pitched 14 innings in his major league career and then went out and pitched one of the most dominant games that anyone has ever seen in the history of the postseason. So 7 different pitchers in the history of the game have ever started a postseason game with 14 or fewer innings in their career. And only 2 of them went 3 or more innings. This guy went 5 1/3, did not allow a hit, and struck out 11. It was just unbelievable how good his stuff was. And Jeff, I need you to help me as a young guy. That they were telling me before the game and during the week that he has the presence of Gaylord Perry going to the mound. Gaylord Perry was an old veteran guy who would walk to that mound and make it clear to anyone who cared to listen, this is my mound. I'm in charge here. And that's the way this kid commands himself at age 22 with 14 innings in the big leagues. He started the season, Jeff, in A ball, and then pitched one of the greatest games we've ever seen. The Yankees had zero chance to get a hit off of this guy. How do we explain, Jeff, as I ask a young guy, that our 22-year-olds are so much more advanced? I mean, George Springer of the Blue Jays told me these kids are way better than I was when I first came up, and they're so much more polished and more worldly. He said, when I first was in the late minor leagues, he said, I'm living with 5 guys. I'm sleeping on the floor. We're sharing a car. I'm eating 6 days a week at Subway. He said, now these kids come to the big leagues and they're personal chefs in the clubhouse.
Wow.
Is that all part of it? These guys being more ready when they get here?
Well, I think it definitely could be, Dad. And I think his name might have something to do with it, though, because you know what the kids are saying these days is savage. When someone's a savage, it's a good thing.
Good thing, right.
So how did he pitch? Yeah, savage. You're savage.
Right. Trey,
and
you
fun
savage.
Fun fact, Dad, I don't know if you recognize this, but our podcast is filmed in Skippack, Pennsylvania, right, when we are together, and he grew up in Pottstown. Dad,
right.
That is actually
not far away.
20 minutes where I go to my local Costco. So
right.
he was born in Pottstown. I think he grew up in Boyertown, which is also like only 25 minutes from here. So maybe during the off season, if he's visiting his parents, we can have him on the pod in the basement. You never know. You're savage.
You never know. And I really got a kick out of the fact, Jeff, that John Schneider, the really, really good manager for the Blue Jays, didn't even see this kid in spring training. He was so far, Savage was, on a backfield. He didn't even know. So the guy starts to advance in the minor leagues this year, and John takes a look at the film here and there, and then the kid shows up and he goes, he's way different in person, okay? And Jeff, here's the lesson. We are trying to evaluate players based on a film clip or video and all this stuff, which is all good. But as you know, when a kid shows up, anybody shows up, and you look him right in the eye, and then you watch him throw, it can be a completely different situation. So let's please not pass judgment on anyone till we actually meet him, till we actually shake his hand, look him in the eye, and watch him throw a bullpen. Because when those guys watched him throw a bullpen, they went like this. Whoa, what is that? And then we saw what is that on the highest level. He just absolutely dominated the New York Yankees.
And now you're hearing people say about him, he is better at this than anything you will ever be in your entire life.
Right. He is better at this than anything I have ever done in my life. He is better at this than anything you will ever do in your life. All right. That's
how many times has searching for Bobby Fischer been brought up in interviews? Twice. At least Adnan Burke, Jeremy Schaap.
Right.
I wish
3 times now.
Maybe next time we have Cal Ripken Jr. on, we'll have to try to sneak it in.
Right. Who knows? All right. Well, speaking of the Yankees, Jeff, Aaron Boone told me this is the best Yankee team I've ever had. And he told me that game 3 of the wild card series against the Red Sox was the most pressure-packed game he's ever been a part of. And he played in game 7, hit a home run of the 2003 ALCS against the Red Sox. And he played in the World Series, but thinking this is the best team that I've had in New York. The pressure was enormous because if they didn't get through Boston, what a terrible, terrible disappointment that would be. But they really need to get going, Jeff, because they're at this, they're down 2-0 going into Tuesday's game. But and Aaron Judge you can't speak without. Every time you see him, you can't stop. So George Springer told us the other day, Blue Jays outfielder, he was talking about the best players in the game, and someone said Judge, and he went like this, well, he doesn't count. Like, he's too good. He doesn't count. Like, we can't even include him in the equation because he's that much better than everybody else. He said, I just wish he would just be human once in a while, is how he put it. And Aaron Boone has told me multiple times here lately, this guy plays a different game than everyone else. And he's going to have to do that moving forward. Otherwise, they're not going to get past the Blue Jays. And if they do, they're not going to get to the World Series. That's how important Aaron Judge is to this team.
What other takeaways across beyond the series you've been covering?
Yeah, well, the Dodgers are really good, as I told you, Jeff. And as of this taping, they had a 1-0 lead over your Phillies. And a couple things for them, Jeff. Look, they scored the most runs in the National League this year. They've also going into Monday's game, 12 straight games in the postseason, scoring at least 4 runs. Jeff, you faced elite pitching in the postseason, and they've had 12 straight postseason games with at least 4 runs. The record is 13 straight by the Orioles 1970-71. And so this team can really hit, and they are healthy again now that they have Will Smith back. But Roki Sasaki has been the difference maker there. Jeff, he has pitched 4 innings, 4, since he came off the injured list. And right now, he's their closer because he throws a split finger fastball that nobody can hit. It's one of the filthiest things I've ever seen. And so they have taken a chance and taken a starter and thrown him in the bullpen in an impact inning, a high leverage inning, the 9th inning. And he looks like he's been doing that for 10 years. So I really, really like where the Dodgers are right now.
Yeah. If I had to make a Team Tim for all babyface team, I think Sasaki would be my closer, one of my start, like would have to be on there. Cause I mean, and I mean this with all due respect as a guy who had a baby face for a long time. He doesn't look like he can do what he did. He came out on the mound and his build and his face, he just looks so young and he can,
Right.
I mean, he just punished the Phillies in that final inning.
Well, Jeff, again, the game is open to all shapes and
Absolutely.
sizes. It's one of the beauties of the sport. And Roki Sasaki has filled a hole, at least for the moment, as the closer that the Dodgers really needed to fill. Also, the Brewers, to me, Jeff, they clobbered the Cubs in game one. We'll see where that series goes. But I just love watching the Brewers play. The Brewers are the National League equivalent of the Blue Jays, elite defensive team. Put the ball in play more than anyone else. Take the game to the defense all the time. They're running all over the place. I really like where the Brewers are right now. And again, Jeff, ball's in play with the strikeout rate the way it is. When you find a team like the Brewers and the Blue Jays that can put the ball in play as often as they did. One of the analysts for the Blue Jays told me that when the Blue Jays played the Brewers this year, it was the most fun series to watch because they're two teams that mirror each other and they really play the game the right way. And I know it sounds corny, but it matters today. If you play a different game than everyone else, it's hard to match up with you. And that's the strength of the Brewers. And the strength of the Mariners, by the way, Jeff, is that starting pitching, which we're starting to see. And, the Tigers have matched them pitch for pitch. It's been amazing. But this is also where we are in our game today. Luis Castillo, who is unhittable as far as I'm concerned for the Mariners, he pitched 4 2/3 hitless innings the other day, and then he gave up a hit and they took him out of the game. Like, this is how it works now. And granted, he had walked 4 guys, he'd thrown a bunch of pitches, but you give up a hit now, not a run. You give up a hit and they take you out of the game and go to the bullpen.
I love seeing starters go longer games in the playoffs, Dad. I love it because you just know that's how serious they are. So when they get pulled in the 4th inning, I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. The 5th inning, come on, folks. I like to see starters go long games. I like to see it because it just makes me feel like it's playoff season. That's all.
Right.
Maybe I don't want anybody to get hurt. But I hate when we're counting pitches in October. That's all.
I totally agree, Jeff. All right, last takeaway, Jeff. The Rangers hired Skip Schumacher to be their manager, replacing Bruce Bochy, who, by the way, is not done as a manager if he doesn't want to be done as a manager. Okay, so Skip Schumacher was manager of the year for the Marlins, and then they handled some things poorly and he moved on. He's a really smart guy. And I think I told you this story before. I love this, Jeff. When he was a young kid, he's like 5 years old. He goes to a Dodger game. He loves the Dodgers at age 5. And all the star Dodgers walk by him and all he wants is an autograph. He's 5 years old. And a bunch of the Dodgers just blow him off. So Oral Hershiser is the last guy to come through. And he sees Skip Schumacher, who's really upset. Poor kid, can't get anyone to stop to sign his glove. Oral Hershiser stops, looks at Skip Schumacher, age 5, and says, look, I'm not a star, but I'm on the Dodgers, and I'd be happy to sign your glove. So he signs the glove, and Skip Schumacher wore number 55 as often as it was available as his uniform number as a tribute to Oral Hershiser. From Ozzie to Oral, number 55. So when we talk about players having an impact on a young player, Skip Schumacher wore 55 for his career because at age 5, Oral Hershiser signed his glove. The
beauty of the story is Oral Hershiser wasn't even Oral Hershiser at the time of signing the glove. That's the coolest part is the humbleness of him to say, hey, I'm not a star, but I'm on the Dodgers. Can I help you? And he ends up becoming a Hall of Famer. Just unbelievable. All right, Dad, we have a lot coming up. We've got the Quirkjians. We've got a Team Tim on this date. All coming up next. All right, Dad, what are your Quirkjians going on in October?
Well, I love defense in the big leagues, and Cal Raleigh and Dylan Dinger are the catchers in the Tigers Mariners series, and neither one of them had a pass ball this year.
Wow.
And they're the everyday catchers for two teams playing in the same series. Cal Raleigh played 121 games behind the plate, no pass balls. Dylan Dingler played 118 games, no pass balls. So the last time any player had caught at least 120 games in a season without a pass ball was
Johnny Bench.
1975. So I just think it's great when a pitcher knows my catcher is going to catch the ball. That is a really cool thing. Dylan Dingler is a really good player, but Cal Raleigh, of course, is having an MVP season. It's been amazing. Okay, Shohei Ohtani, Jeff, the other day struck out 4 times in the game in which he pitched against the Phillies. So I got a kick out of this, that the last time a pitcher struck out 4 times in a postseason game, because again, pitchers don't bat in postseason anymore, and with DH, they haven't batted in postseason a lot. The last time a pitcher got a win in the game and struck out 4 times was, of course, a real pitcher, Jerry Royce, in 1981. And it was Shohei Ohtani this time who struck out 4. And he's a pitcher, but, he's really not a pitcher. He's both. He's everything. I just found that interesting. Do you find that interesting?
Well, I think, first of all, it's amazing how many people in Philadelphia were so hyped to see him striking out so much. And that was probably the only positive they took from game 1, was that Shohei Ohtani struck out 4 times in the game after they blew that lead.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for there, Jeff. Okay, a couple things from the regular season, Jeff. Byron Buxton of the Twins did not ground into a double play this year, and he can really run. But, he also hits the ball in the air a lot, strikes out a lot. There aren't a whole lot of ground balls put in play. So I went back to 1955. Buxton did it in 542 plate appearances. I went back to 1955, and only 5 other guys have ever in that time have batted 542 times in a season without grounding into a double play. And the record is Craig Biggio in 1997 had 744 plate appearances without grounding into a double play.
Wow.
And that's such a valuable thing, Jeff, because you see 643s all the time. Also, Lawrence Butler of the A's did not get hit by a pitch this year. 630 plate appearances, no hit batters. As I've told you before, Mark Lemke batted over 3,000 times in the major leagues and never got hit by a pitch. He's a switch hitter, so that makes it a little bit. And he's a tough little guy who didn't mind getting hit by a pitch. It just never happened. But the last guy to bat as many times as Lawrence Butler did this year without getting hit by a pitch was David Fletcher, 653 plate appearances in 2019. So it's been 6 years since anyone had this many plate appearances and didn't get hit by a pitch. And we've been over this. Mickey Mantle got hit by a pitch 13 times in his entire career.
Right.
Like Tony Gwynn got hit 24 times in his entire career. John Kruk got hit twice in his entire career. These things are really, really weird. All right, Jeff, since we have a father-son podcast here, I got a kick out of this. So Vlad Guerrero hit a home run the other night and became the 6th father-son combo to hit a home run in a postseason game. So the others are the fielders, Prince and Cecil, Bob Boone and Aaron Boone, Bob Boone and Brett Boone, Eddie and Tony Perez, Eduardo and Tony Perez, and Julian and Stan Javier are the other ones. So I brought this up because we were in the Yankee clubhouse talking to Aaron Boone, and I brought this up that the Guerreros became the 6th father-son combination to hit a home run in a postseason game, and 2 of the combos were involved in it were in the room. I mean, Booney was there and Eduardo was there. I got such a charge out of that because that whole series, we've got the Perez's and the Boones and the Guerreros, and Gary Varsho's son, Dalton Varsho, had 4 extra base hits in game 2 of the series. So that leads us, Jeff, to our team Tim. Now we've done something similar to this, but I wanted to find the all team Tim in which fathers and sons played in the major leagues, but they had to play the same position. This is a little bit different, okay?
Yeah.
And that's not so easy to do because Yogi Berra's sons played in the major leagues, but they weren't catchers. You see what I mean?
Right.
All right. So my catchers are Fred and Jason Kendall.
Okay. Yeah.
Jason Kendall was really good. His dad was a tough guy, too. At first baseman are Prince and Cecil Fielder. Now, let's see how good your memory is, Jeff.
They finished their career with the same amount of home runs.
319. Jeff, seriously, what are the chances? What are the chances of that happening? It's impossible, right?
It's big shout out to Sarah Langs on that one. That's like her favorite one of all time.
Well, that's been my favorite one for years, but Sarah went way beyond that, and it's unbelievable the other similarities of, homers on the road, homers at home. I mean, they were like all the same. It was incredible. Yeah. Second base is Sandy Alomar Sr. and Roberto Alomar, Hall of Famer, of course. Third base was hard because I wanted to use Tony Perez and Eduardo Perez, both of whom played third base in the major leagues. But I'm going with Buddy Bell and David Bell because both of them played more games at third base together than Eduardo and Tony Perez. And I veered a little bit at shortstop, Jeff, because I went instead of a father-son combination, and there were several of them to play shortstop. I picked Don and Gray Kessinger, who are a grandfather and grandson who played shortstop in the major leagues. That's pretty cool, don't you think?
That is pretty neat. Good. Nice little switch up.
Yeah. So Gray Kessinger, who's a great defensive shortstop, but has trouble staying in the big leagues because he's not a particularly good offensive player. He told me that with his grandfather, Don, who was a really good shortstop for a long time for the Cubs, he said, whenever we went anywhere as a little leaguer or a teenager or whatever, he said the rules were in the car, no radio, no cell phone. And Don Kessinger, the grandfather, would look at Gray and say, okay, and they would talk baseball the whole time. And this is how the discussions went, okay, first and third, you're playing shortstop, right-handed hitter up, score is this, there's only one out, ball's hit to your left, what are you doing? This is how Gray Kessinger learned how to play the game because his grandfather was quizzing him all the way through. And what a cool thing. I mean, this happened in our house all the time. My father, your grandfather, Pop, he did this all the time with Uncle Matt, Uncle Andy, and me. And it was really helpful because he gave us a feel for the game by talking about it all the time.
You know what's funny, Dad, that you brought that up is recently Emily and I were talking about how good, and this is a compliment to myself, but I'll get to the point of it, how good I am at mental math, how quickly I can add things up in my head. Very, very quickly, pretty simple math. I can do it, right? And it reminded me, and she said, how is that? Because I wasn't like this excellent math student. I got a grandfather who's a PhD in mathematics, but I mean, I didn't really get that math bug clearly with what I chose to do with my career. I'm more musically minded, but I remember, Dad, when you would take out of your cup all of the change you would have, and you would take your hand and you'd open it up and you'd have a bunch of coins in there, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and then you take it right back. And we would have to look at it. And if we came within like a nickel, you would give us the change. You remember doing that?
Oh, yeah, I did it all the time.
I really think that like contributed to my ability to quickly add up and quickly mentally. I mean, were you doing that on purpose, or like, did you think it would help my math, or were you just goofing around?
Well, we were just goofing around, but who knows? If you can look at something and figure out what it is, add it in your head quickly, that's a skill. I think now that you're buying a new house, I may have to put like a bunch of $100 bills in a cup. And if you can get within 100, I'll give it to you because you're going to need all the help you can get.
Yeah, Dad, we are. We don't have a fence or a deck. So we have a lot of things we have to contribute to the house.
Okay, well, you can have one of our decks if you want it. You just have to transport it from our house to yours.
Well, your deck was falling apart for a little bit. So maybe I know you got it fixed, but I don't know if I need it anymore.
All right. So, Jeff, we got outfields for the father-son.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to give you any clues. Who is the greatest father-son combination ever when it comes to
the Griffeys?
No, They're the second favorite.
Oh, well, the Bonds?
The Bonds. So the
okay.
Bondses and the Griffies are obviously our two outfielders.
And then the Alous?
The Alous, Moises and Felipe were third. Jeff, that was very good. So many options, but I went with these. And my pitcher is Mel Stottlemyre, who was really, really good for the Yankees, mostly in the 60s. And he had two sons that pitched in the major leagues, Mel Jr. and Todd Stottlemyre. So I chose, there were a bunch of choices at pitcher, but since Mel Stottlemyre had two sons who also pitched, I made him the pitcher on the all-team team.
What's on this date in baseball history, October the 7th?
Yeah, on this date in 2001, Rickey Henderson got hit number 3,000. And I remember talking to Ricky once, and he said, what is the one number that I had that you think surprises most people? And I think most people would, and he said he always thought it was 3,000 hits because Ricky walked so many times, much like Ted Williams and Lou Gehrig and a bunch of Babe Ruth. They didn't end up with 3,000 hits because they were walking all the time, and Ricky walked all the time. And Barry Bonds, not 3,000 hits either. But Ricky got 3,000 hits, and on that day, it was the last day of the season, and it was Tony Gwynn's last major league game. And Tony Gwynn welcomed Rickey Henderson at home plate after hit number 3,000 to say, like, welcome to the club, because, of course, cool. Tony Gwynn had 3,000 hits. He was great. All right, we have a birthday, Jeff, and if you get this, I am not kidding. I will do the down payment for your house, okay? Butch Henry was born on this date in 1968. If you can tell me the odd arcane statistic about Butch Henry, which I have used on this podcast this year, I will put down a down payment on your house.
Okay, so I remember Butch Henry. He played for the Expos, right?
I'm astonished that you knew that.
Yeah.
And he didn't pitch for very long, Jeff. Now, don't get him mixed up with Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the Munsters, right? Who, by the way...
Wait. I think I know.
I hope you don't, because I'm not paying for your down payment. Okay, well, who is it?
He was a pitcher who hit a home run for the very first hit of his career, right?
No.
Did he hit an inside the park home run to win a game? On the first hit of his career?
No.
Oh.
But he hit one homer in his
whole career. That's
it was an inside the park homer. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's one thing if you're a position player, you have one homer and it's inside the park. That's unusual. When you're a pitcher, Jeff, I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to send you. How much does the house cost? I'll send the down payment. What's it? What do you need? A couple $100? Is that what you need?
Yeah. A couple hundred. Add a couple zeros. Yeah, we're going to be house poor for a little while, but we're doing it. We're doing it so family can come visit us more often. So that's how you can pay me back.
All right, Jeff, after the podcast, we're going to talk houses. I'm so proud of you. Way to go. You did it, and you've grown up so fast. It's so good. Evan Longoria was born on this date in 1985. He wasn't on the podcast, but we featured him in what Team Tim did we feature him? Or Best of All Tim?
I can't remember. Oh,
Best of all Tim, Jeff.
The best Rays player.
Best Rays player ever. And I still got a kick out of this. He told me a story once. I shouldn't get this big of a kick out of it. You know, when you put your credit card down for something and it doesn't print your entire name, it just prints the first three letters of your name sometimes. Yeah. So he's Evan Longoria, but when you only print the first three letters, he becomes Eva Longoria, famous actress. So he went to like a play or something once, and somehow the seating chart got out, and he said that all sorts of people were coming by his seats thinking that Eva Longoria is sitting there when it was Evan Longoria. So he kind of had to tell him, look, sorry I disappointed you. I'm not her.
Dad, I'll tell you this. When I was in college, there was a like the way they would take rolls sometimes, or on a list of like what class you were going to be in, it would give the first four letters of your last name and then your initial. Well, people knew at Syracuse that I was I was the son of a ESPN broadcaster because it's a broadcast school and everybody talks and blah, 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 blah. Well, they go, oh my gosh, it looks like John Kruk's son is in our class because it was Kirk J, but in a quick reading, they thought it was Kruk J. How fun! It's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as they saw me, they knew I was not related to John Kruk.
Yeah. So I'll tell the quick Krukkie story. Krukkie, when I did the bus tour with him, which means I spent a lot of time with him, he says to me on the bus tour, like every question, every sentence with John Kruk always begins with, did I ever tell you about the time? Right? Ellipsis. And I've never heard these stories before. They're all amazing. So he said, did I ever tell you about the time I shot a deer in the hot tub? That was the question he asked me. And with Krukkie, you have to ask him, Krukkie, were you in the hot tub? Was the deer in the hot tub? Or were both of you in the hot tub? You never know. And he said, no, I was in the hot tub alone. He said, and I had he said, I'm senior in high school. I got my shotgun. It's leaning up against the hot tub. And he pauses and looks at me as if he now expects me to say, yeah, Krukkie, that's where I keep my shotgun. So as an 18-year-old in West Virginia, he stood up buck naked and shot a deer in the woods and sat back down.
Was John Kruk buck naked or was the buck naked?
Right. And what is it, Jeff?
Or was the buck naked?
Is it butt or is it B-U-T-T or B-U-C-K? I'm a writer. I'm not sure I know the difference between the two. Butt naked? It's got to be B-U-T-T, right?
Yeah, no, it's actually both can be used, actually. And I'm Googling it right now. While both buck naked and butt naked used to describe someone who's fully nude, buck naked is older of the pair. So, I mean, I feel like just over time, people have said it incorrectly. It's probably buck naked for a long time, and then it just kind of became butt naked as well.
Well, that's how Buck Showalter got his name, you know. He at Mississippi State, he used to walk around before games. He got to the ballpark awful early and sometimes walked around without his clothes on. That's how he got his nickname.
What?
At least that's the story.
How he became Buck?
Yeah. His first name is Nathan. Yes. All right.
Wow.
All right. Last one, Jeff. 1992, Mookie Betts, who's active in the playoffs, was born. And Mookie has really become a way above average shortstop, which we weren't sure he was going to do that, but the amazing athleticism. And as we know, the last time I talked to Mookie about this was several years ago, but he had 9 perfect games in bowling, Jeff. 9. But what I took from that was he told me after I pulled it out of him, he never had a 10th game where he was 1 strike away from a perfect game and then didn't make a strike. In other words, he had 9 opportunities to get a perfect game and he completed all 9. Like you would have, or me or anyone else would be 1 ball away from a perfect game and throw it in the gutter because we would have panicked so much. Of course, when's the last time you went bowling, Jeff?
Oh, gosh. I went bowling with my buddy Kyle a little while ago in Charlotte. It's been a long time. My best score ever was a 215. It was a pretty good score. I was in high school.
Jeff, that is really good.
But I don't count it, and I know you're gonna say, like, count it, but people had left. Right. So we were kind of rolling 2 lanes, just a couple of us. So I would roll in 1 lane and then roll in another lane, like whenever I was up on both of them. So I wasn't really, yes, my score on 1 lane was 215. No doubt about it. Not lying. But I was kind of getting warm up throws and messing around. I think I shot like a 110 on the other side.
Yeah. That's not an easy game. And you've done duck pin too, since you were a kid, right?
Duck pin is fun.
Right.
It's a good time. It's more of a Quirkjian sport, I would say. It's much easier for us little guys.
Yeah. I once went bowling with my friend Randy Youngman years and years ago on the beat, and he was a big, strong guy. And he used to bowl overhand when we played with the duck pins. Because he threw it so hard, it was unbelievable. Okay. That's all this state and baseball history.
Well, Dad, this was an awesome episode. We apologize we went a little long, but we had some catching up to do. You're in the Bronx. You're in New York, Dad. You can listen to him on the call with Eduardo Perez and Carl Ravitch. Big shout out to that great team, Dad. I was listening to the broadcast, respectfully, with the TV on mute. And I timed it perfectly so I could listen to you guys and watch the game. And I heard you tell your great joke. Hey, there's a great restaurant around here. I love it so much. Last time I was there, though, I dropped my tray.
Yeah, there was food everywhere. It was
I love
really
that joke.
bad. Yeah.
Well,
I think that was an AI joke instead, Jeff.
Oh,
now that I
goodness
know
me.
what AI is.
Gosh. All right, Dad. Well, thank you so much to everybody listening. Make sure to hit subscribe and follow Caleb Joseph on the pod tomorrow, and then another episode either Thursday or Friday this week, depending on how our series shake out. But we'll be back with you. Thank you for listening, and as always, thanks for being a part of our family.